Why, ladies and gentlemen, are we destroying our planet? Now I'll give a brief summary on on that, and then open it up to the audience. This question was, by the way, donated to us by a 40-year-old pupil of mine. Yeah. And I think this is very significant. Now, I'm not criticising the 40-year-old here. I'm criticising people who word the sentence as displayed, which is common in society. This sentence was designed by the billionaires because it says, why are we destroying this planet? We have no choice over how we interact during our everyday proceedings. We have no power over capitalism's need to have oil being pumped every single day. We have no power over our governments who are owned by these capitalists. There was a newspaper article just the other day which said over the last 50 years the oil companies collectively have made pure profit to the total of £52 trillion. £52 trillion. What can you do with that money? If it wasn't just spent on war and denying human beings their capability of forming and function, you could buy on free university for every single human being over that time period. Free health care, free education to understand not only yourself but different communities. We do not have any say over this planet and the fact it's being destroyed, because we would like to have electric cars, a new phenomenon. And guess what? We now only just had an opportunity to buy electric cars, where the first cars ever been made were electric. But only now have we just had a choice. And guess what? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We are choosing to buy electric cars, hands over fist. They cannot produce enough, they being Tesla, and Tesla only, by the way. So that's the proof that we've never had a choice, and the fleeting glimpse of a choice, be it electric car, we're buying them en masse. So the question here is, yes, they are destroying the planet, not we.
Okay, I'll just go with a brief one and then give you a chance, okay? So, I think if you want to look at most of the problems in the world, all you have to do is look in the mirror. We are the problem, right? So, we are endlessly consuming more than we need to the extent that we give ourselves all these first world problems like diabetes by eating too much and buying endless material things that we don't need. And it's not because we're poor or anything, we've got enough money to buy things we don't need, so that shows something, okay? I think the crux of the problem is a lack of inner peace. And when we lack inner peace, what we do is we just try to consume more and more to fill that void. And the way we're going to overcome that, and this is not just a religious point of view, this is what psychologists have said, is just that we need a higher purpose or greater meaning to life. And the great Viktor Frankl, which is a psychologist of great repute, the kind of level of Freud, he said that if you were to find your super purpose or super meaning, you would essentially, religion helps you find that super meaning, that great meaning to live your life by, that fills that void.
No, the problem is that you're blaming the victims. The people behind all this horrific situation is the capitalists and the capitalist class. Now, the problem with capitalism, and has always been the problem since Marx's day, is that it overproduces to a massive degree.
Speak up, we can't hear you. Speak up, we can't hear you.
And the reason...
We are recording this, so you can watch it on our video afterwards. We want it live.
Yes.
Just carry on.
The overproduction of capitalism is essential for capitalism to exist, because it has to make profit. In order to make profit, it has to destroy. In order to destroy, it has to get rid of all the stuff that already sold in order to produce more stuff to sell again, to continue their profits. Now, they'll go to war over this. They'll go to kill people by the millions in order to preserve their profits, in order to preserve the capitalist system. And by doing so, war is the perfect capitalist activity, because you destroy and then you can rebuild. And you destroy and you rebuild, and profits are being made all of the time. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. We're the victims. We're the working class. We're the ones that actually do all the work. But we have to carry on working for the capitalists. That's not our.
Thank you very much.
You mentioned electric cars there. Can you tell me where the lithium comes from for the batteries in the electric cars?
Yes, the lithium is one of the most common materials on the planet. Virtually everywhere on the planet has lithium in it. The only problem is just creating the manufacturing process big enough to extract such a common material as lithium. And Tesla have already patented new extractions. It's just literally a matter of will. But in America, you have enough lithium for all the batteries you would ever need. The only issue is that capitalism said, we're not going to invest money in technologies which help this planet. We're going to invest purely in technologies which destroy this planet.
Are there lithium mines in Africa?
As I said, there's lithium everywhere on the planet.
Is that a yes or a no?
Well, I think I've answered that question.
I think maybe what you're getting at, tell me if you're right, I'm making the right
Did you
point,
mean
is
cobalt?
Okay, cobalt, well, yeah, maybe.
Similar.
Yeah,
No,
so,
it's not.
but okay, where the point is, the point is that is there oppression of the poor people to mine these materials and they don't get their fair deserts for their hard work, maybe. And yes, so maybe capitalism without morality can take advantage of lots of people. I just want to make a really interesting point, which I agree with you, about a certain form of capitalism which has been prohibited in Islam and Judaism and supposedly Christianity if it followed the Bible, and that would be interest-based capitalism. Why is that so important? Because it links I actually agree with two things you said. You linked overproduction and war. Okay, that's exactly what the Quran suggests what will happen if you indulge in interest-based capitalism. That makes you borrow money so that you have to produce stuff, but then you have to create more than you had before to repay the bills. So when you borrow money on interest, you have to pay more money than you had back. So you have to create more than ever before, and that's why in modern economies, GDPs, the gross domestic product, has to always increase, which is completely unrealistic because the economy should match what you create from the land, and it's completely unrealistic to forever into infinity keep creating. That's one thing. And also another thing the Quran predicts about the damage interest will do is it will encourage wars. Why? Because wars are incredibly expensive, billions and trillions of pounds a day, right? And the only way you can do that, well, I'm just saying,
Just stay on the question, just push it towards the question.
okay, so why are we destroying, okay, yeah, good point. So when you have an interest-based economy, which is not just plain capitalism, what that does is it encourages you to mine the world endlessly and also have wars which are clearly destructive to the planet, especially if it's nuclear.
Yeah, there are different forms of capitalism. You're right. Britain, for instance, was a manufacturing capitalist country, the first one in the world, actually. Britain now is no longer a manufacturing country; it's a financial capitalist country. You're right. But however, Saudi Arabia goes to war, many Islamic countries go to war, and they're still making profits. Saudi Arabia makes huge profits from oil, etc. So capitalism, yes, can be financial or manufacturing. The present capitalist system in this country and in Europe and in America is neoliberal capitalism, where everything is privatized. Everything is privatized. That's a neoliberal capitalism, along with financial capitalism and manufacturing capitalism, are all capitalism, and they've all got their very bad points, but they're all, as far as I'm concerned, should be destroyed as a system.
Thank you for bringing that up. I think it is, as you rightly correctly pointed out, the capitalism does have many facets and many hats, but capitalism fundamentally is not about money. It's about its need to destroy the planet that we live on and the human being. That's why the capitalist invests in things like oil, war, because war and oil does destroy the planet. And again, the most critical part which needs to be talked about is we don't have any vote over that. When we try to stop the global warming, we're laughed at and called terrorists, by the way. When we tried to stop the Iraq war, we're laughed at and ridiculed, and they just decided, they being the capitalists, to create a load of lies to go and bomb a load of Muslims. And that meant the capitalists could keep building bombs to bomb more Muslims, because capitalists have deemed Muslims the enemy of our planet. This is capitalism, and just to reinsert a point, cobalt is a rare material. That's why it only happens in very few places on this planet. Lithium, again, is nearly as common as sand, silicon. So, anyone would like to elaborate the last point?
I had a last point. I'm trying to remember what it was, but
anybody else like to contribute to why we're destroying this planet? You've been listening. Would you like to have a?
I agree with everything that was said. It's to do with greed and capitalism, and I think that we're pretty powerless to challenge the people who are running the world. If we're not united, if we're not organised, if people are not informed, then we're pretty powerless. And a lot of people sort of are more interested in other things, rather than concentrating on political issues. So for the time being, I do think that we're pretty powerless as the masses to challenge the people that are in power. I mean, when I was growing up, it was who wants to be a millionaire. Now we're living on a planet where there's plenty of billionaires, and these people are extraordinarily powerful.
So I would actually end up liking to agree with you, but in this one little phrase and this is a quote from Prophet Muhammad, he said, we get the leaders we deserve. So because of our lack of interest in the world and lack of willingness to form a community, we the masses are become weaker than the few 0.001% who control all of us. And it's our fault for not getting together because we're too selfish.
Do you agree with that statement?
Do you agree with that statement? We get the leaders we deserve.
I mean, several people have said that. Montaigne, and several people said that. But I'm not sure where you're linking religion into this. Is this what?
No, let's just concentrate on. Let's just focus on the planet, not the religion.
Okay, so a lot of people here are saying that we are victims. I'm saying that who are we victims of? Our leaders, right? Okay, but where do those leaders come from? How comes they're all so powerful and we, the masses, like if we had a fight and there was one leader, hand-on-hand battle, right? How could that one person beat 1,000, possibly millions of people? It's because of our lack of ability to unite. Anyway.
Before you go, can you quickly tell us about some organisations who are actually out there trying to save the planet?
So I would say Islam is a very powerful force because it's the fastest growing religion and that unites humanity, and I am part of the revival of Islam, and we are united and powerful despite our small numbers. So that's an answer.
I'd like to add to that. I think that the majority of human beings that I know and on the planet are also very engaged in trying to stop the world being destroyed by a very tiny minority of people. And unfortunately, as this gentleman pointed out, that the majority are denied any political voice, will, or indeed encouragement to actually help save the planet.
Your point that we're responsible for our own problems is not true, because the society we live under, the capitalist economic and political and social society, is controlled by a very small amount of very powerful people. The media, television, all the propaganda is directed from above, and we as human beings are victims of that propaganda. We cannot help ourselves because we are psychologically slaves to that society.
And we are addicted to money that they forced upon us. So what choice does an addict have?
It's not that.
What choice does an addict have?
So I think I've made my point.